mono signal. So we have one signal and we can expand that out into a stereo signal, okay, which is your left and right speakers, okay, and you have this phantom sound in the center. And then we can take that, okay, so we're dealing with, okay, say this is your centralized sort of standard stereo space, okay. Now we can say, why don't we take delays and we can shove them to the left and the right, okay. So then you have this center image here, and then you can have your delays here, and essentially you're widening the mix and you're pushing your delays out into that stereo space. Okay, so it's a repetitive melody, right? So we have the boom, 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 boom. So it changes a little bit, but it's mostly the same, which is cool. And we can say, all right, what are some key things that we can try? So instead of just, I mentioned this in the previous one, instead of just standing there with your hands up and they're floating on rafts and anyway, do something creative so the audience that's watching you can feel connected in some way. So we are playing with the vinyl break, we're adding in some delays, we're just having a bit of fun with it. One of the fantastic things, and you'll see in a second, is when we added delays, we're talking about the stereo image, okay. So you have the left and right speakers, okay, and they're creating their own stereo image, okay. So it's not a mono signal. So a mono signal is when you have just one speaker. For example, we have one microphone. That can't be a stereo recording. If you have one microphone, you sing into that microphone, that's one signal, that's a mono signal. Okay. Now, if you have two speakers, just to keep things simple, we have the left and right, and we have this aspect called we have this phenomenon called phantom. You have this image in front of you between left and right speakers. So you have my speakers here, but then it's a blend of the two in the center, and it's almost like a phenomenon where it's filling up the space on its own. If that makes any sense, okay? And we call that the sort of phantom sound. Like almost when there's serious operations and people lose a part of their limbs or something, they can feel their toes when they don't have one of their legs or something like that. They can feel that. It's called like phantom pain, because it's not there anymore, but I can sense that. And essentially that's what we have here. So we have the two speakers and they're sort of, just in general terms, they're colliding, and we have this, neutral space in the center that's creating this sort of phantom sound for us, okay? And that's creating this stereo image for us. Now, we can expand that stereo image, okay, super wide, okay? Or we can monoize. We can make it more center, okay? So we can essentially turn it into a mono signal. So we have one signal and we can expand that out into a stereo signal, okay, which is your left and right speakers, okay, and you have this phantom sound in the center. And then we can take that, okay, so we're dealing with, okay, say this is your centralized sort of standard stereo space, okay. Now we can say, why don't we take delays and we can shove them to the left and the right, okay. So then you have this center image here, and then you can have your delays here. And essentially you're widening the mix and you're pushing your delays out into that stereo space. And one of the great things about the delays that we have available on this setup here is that they're able to really expand out into that stereo space. And particularly with certain songs in the dance sphere, you can then really maximize that space around it because there's nothing there. So that's a great example what's happening here. So we have a standard image for this tune, but then we're expanding out, we're adding delays, we're adding effects, but they're complementing that space there further. They're not just sticking here, they're on the sides there. And that's almost like in ear candy. So they're pushing out to the sides and expanding the width of our stereo space. That's something that can be applied to when you are in the engineering side, mixing your productions. That's a great thing that you can do, very common thing that you can do to create some unique sounds in that space around the mix to make things wider or have the perception of width. The same can be applied when you have, depending on the setup and the live setting, you have your standard stacks of speakers on the left and right, and then we can push out that space, which I don't feel is being taken advantage of. Okay, so you have some fantastic front of house engineers, and you can take that space there and then you can expand it out as essentially your own live engineer, because you have the capability on the decks. You're not just the live band. When you listen to some cool guitar solos with effects and stuff like that, they can really take advantage of that and create some wild effects and push things out on the speakers. That just is able to create a unique moment in the mix just by using delays. So this is still a mono signal, but in the full mix that you can watch, if you find these moments when we are using these delays, you can find that they do expand out outside of the standard sort of space of where the song is. So we're creating this flutter around the space, and you can hear that in these sort of moments here. Cool, you can hear that kind of crackling on the sides, yeah. And in the stereo version, I'm just doing the full mix, you can hear those sort of cracklings of the effect going around the stereo image, and it's fantastic, and that creates from an engineering perspective something wonderful that it can be enjoyed, especially if the set is recorded after. It's recorded during that, and people can listen to that live performance after. Oh, I just forgot. My little trusty earplug. No, you have to switch over. Sometimes it doesn't. It's not on 1%. I know it's not on 1%. Don't give me that. Yes, no, don't give me unsuccessful. Yes, I know you're connected, but you're not really, are you? Yeah. Give me that one. Unsuccessful. Yeah, unsuccessful. How about now? You were like on full bars the other day. What are you talking about? The other day. Trying to force it. That always works. Kieman, wonderful. Can I see how much like? Can you see how much like thing Meiji? AirPods? Piss off. Air. Awesome, that's a great search function right there. We're doing it. We're doing without it. We're doing it without it. Cool. Doesn't matter. Turn the sucker up.